Welcome to the Hoopstrology podcast brought to you by the Bayou City. My name is Jesus Acevedo Jr. and my co-host from the south side of Houston, Texas is the Zodiac GM.
How's it going? Welcome.
Zodiac GM. We are back after missing last week. We had to take a short week. We had to take a week off because, to be honest, Zodiac, as I text you, there was the last Dynamo playoff game or the last Dynamo home game of the season. It was a conference semifinal which they won. So I had a lot of good stories to tell from that game.
Hey, you gotta do your stuff,
Gotta do it. That's where you guys can read my stories on the BayouCity.com, which is primarily has always been Dynamo content and soccer content, but I'm trying to branch out. Starting with the Hoopstrology. Hoopstrology is the next phase of that. But unfortunately, while we're still talking Dynamo, they actually just went out in the conference finals against LAFC. So something I'm thinking about next year. I may have you break down the Houston Dynamo team. That'd be interesting because soccer. It's a lot about connectivity, how players feel each other out. It's very similar to basketball. So I'm quite interesting. We'll get into that. I'm not saying we're going to start a soccer astrology podcast or anything like that. Nothing like that. But I have been toying with perhaps a Houston Dynamo podcast. But all that to say, I am glad to be back, Zodiac. Well, the last astrology sign we talked about was Pisces, which that's the oldest sign you told us, right? Because it's the last sign. So I figured why not we start off from the beginning and start with the youngest sign, which is Aries. What can you tell us about Aries?
Oh, Aries, feisty, fiery. Think about fire. Now, the Aries is one of those signs that you could just sense their energy as soon as they walk into a room. So, and the Aries are so fiery that they think fast, they do everything fast, they talk fast, it's just they're so instantaneous about and very impulsive about everything. So Aries, it is a cardinal sign. They rule the initiation of energy. So they are the very first sign of the zodiac. So think of it, they want to finish first, they want to do everything first, and they want to complete every task that they get a hold of first. So that's the main thing about Aries. And there's quite a lot of few Aries out in the NBA that's really good. The main one I can think of is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's an Aries.
Interesting.
Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, James Wiseman.
Steve Nash was an Aries as well, wasn't he?
Oh no, he's an Aquarius.
Aquarius, my bad.
Aquarius,
my
yeah.
Bad. We'll get there.
Brooke Lopez, Kyle Lowry, just to name a few. But yeah, so Aries, a fire sign, very compatible with the Leos, the Sagittarius, and all of the air signs, as like Libras, the Geminis, even. So yeah, I'm thinking on Aquarius too. So yeah, so those.
I think Aries are very quick too. They can almost, I don't want to say match a Gemini because I don't think they can, but they're close. They're very fast in reaction.
Yeah,
they're very.
Geminis are very witty. They're very clever, man. So Geminis are you got to watch out for them Geminis. They'll get
we'll
you
get there
some way somehow.
We may have to dedicate the whole Gemini episode. It's gonna be the first full astrology episode. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so that is Aries. I have known a couple Aries, and yes, they are fiery, and I think a bit stubborn as well, right? Because they are the ram, right? Ram is that their logo?
Yeah. They think of it as the ram. They do everything head first. That's just the way they are. It's like they don't even think. They just do it. If you talk mess to them or whatever it is, they'll just react right away. But the thing is, they forgive pretty easily as well. So yeah, just think about it as a fire. It's like an impulsive fire, and then the flame kind of dies down. So that's sort of like an Aries, an impulsive flyer or flame. Yeah. So yeah,
Aries, a cardinal sign, and we're gonna stick with cardinal signs and transition to a Leo, and that'll be Ime Udoka. Zodiac, Ime Udoka was in the news recently, and not for any coaching he did or any coaching decision. Well, I guess you could say a decision, but I'm sure you saw his confrontation with LeBron James. But before we get into it, just what did you think? You saw that. What were your first thoughts? What did you think?
Well, the first thing I've always looked at the signs first of all, and
right
how,
away,
and,
right?
how and why interactions happen, and it's just do that with a lot of things, just almost instantaneous, just almost
Personal life
natural.
too, right? Right, like in your
Yeah,
personal life
in
too.
life, and there's just so much correlation with everything with these energies. So the first thing I saw was, okay, man, these two signs, these two individuals, they just don't mesh or match as far as for the
Break the signs
energies
down for
go.
us. Break
So
the signs.
Udoka, he is a Leo. Think of it as a lion. They're very prideful. Think of it as the lion, the king of the
Right.
jungle, right? So they have a reputation to uphold. So they are very honest. The reason why they want to be very, very honest, first of all, is because they don't want to make any lies. Because if they do get caught in a lie, back again to that pride and that reputation they have to
Interesting.
uphold, it makes them
Interesting.
look bad. So
And then
once that
LeBron.
happens, they go into the cave and hide. Now
Right.
LeBron, he is a Capricorn. Capricorn, a very serious sign. They do things backwards, even in life and everything. What I mean by that is they want to succeed in life first because they are very, very goal oriented. But the thing is, when they do fail in whatever their goal is on their way to the top, they are very pessimistic at that. But there's a good reason why they're pessimistic, because of that pessimistic style and nature that they have, it brings them back to want to be the best. And you can sense that right away with LeBron, with his whole entire career. Not only that, LeBron is actually an Aries moon. So when you have
Interesting.
that
We just spoke about
combination,
Aries. Yes.
yeah, if you have that combination, he's a double cardinal, meaning both double leader, and he's pretty obvious. He's a very, very well-known leader so as far as all the teams that he's led in the championships and so
So
forth.
then,
But
so then, would it be fair to say that Leos and Capricorns don't really mesh, and that's why they just
yeah,
really
they
from the
don't.
get go just couldn't?
Yes, naturally, the best way to look about this, natural energies don't mesh in a sense, but of course that doesn't mean, oh, just because you're a Leo, just because you're a Capricorn, you'll never get along. It's all about understanding as well. But of course, in this scenario, sometimes it's just the way it is. It's like when you view someone, and then you're like, I just don't. There's something about him that I don't like. Maybe that's what Udoka saw in LeBron, or LeBron saw in Udoka. They just kind of like get a sense of them being in the core, like something about him. Like he thinks he's too conceited. Let me or too prideful. And then Udoka's probably like, man, he thinks he's too good or whatever it is, right? And then you just have that nasty feeling. And then once you interact, and it just kind of goes nowhere. I mean, it goes nowhere, meaning that you don't have that chemistry, and you just start talking back and forth, and it gets ugly. So,
Well,
so that
definitely
that's
got
kind of what
ugly.
I
I
saw.
mean, we don't know we've seen people break down the audio clips, the video clips, and try and think what they said, and it's come pretty close. And if you guys believe what you guys saw, what you guys read on those tweets, he some words were used. Neither one of them has said exactly what was said. I think they asked LeBron, and he said we were talking about what we did during our Thanksgiving break, or I don't know what he said. So.
And it was interesting because Udoka says, "Oh yeah, something about the way he phrased LeBron. He didn't name him by his name. He named him, oh, the player. It was kind of sort of like
Interesting.
an indirect like low blow. Like, oh yeah, me and the player, sort of like making him look like, oh, he's nothing to me. And that's
So
that's a
now is that
typical lion thing to do.
I was just about to ask you. So is that like a
It's a
typical
very
little
typical
thing where
lion thing to do.
where they know what they're doing, but people may not pick up on it?
Exactly. Yeah. Leos, the thing is, they don't want anyone confronting their pride, their leadership, their authoritative type nature. If it's confronted in any way or somehow, that's what happened. I think LeBron kind of challenged that. And a Leo, they don't like that. And that's kind of the reason why he kind of want to take a step above him and say, hey, no, no, you belong right here. That's so it's just a Leo thing. It's just a pride thing. That's really all it is. And I think
and
it was
and
just
and
egos
and
clashing.
and let's also not forget, because I can never miss an opportunity to throw a Gemini in there. Ime is a Gemini moon, so
Of
the
course.
Geminis have a way word. So when you
Of
combine that Leo with the
course.
Gemini, you know, forget about it.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Udoka has a very, very unique, and it's perfect for a coach. A Leo. You got the leadership in a Leo, you got the Gemini, the communicator. That's a perfect combination. And I mean, he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job right now for the Houston Rockets. So, but yeah.
Definitely is. Definitely is. And from Ime Udoka and LeBron James, we're gonna move on to history, and that history was Kevin Durant becoming the 10th all-time scorer on the Kevin Durant becoming 10th on the NBA's all-time scoring list. And look, man, Kevin Durant he's almost not fair, right? He's almost like that player used to make in NBA
Ooh,
2K, like just an unstoppable player. Like,
right.
nobody could ever block his shot. When he first came out, man, you could just see it. And even when he was at the University of Texas, you saw the scoring, the soft touch, like it just the way he was able to get to his spots. And I mean, nobody could even block his shots. I mean, he's tall and lanky and just long, and he even had that arching shot. But I mean, he's a Libra, right? Kevin Durant
Yep.
is a Libra. But we were talking, before we started recording about all the teams he's been on. Because I was going to ask you, let's try and break down the teams he's been on by astrological signs. But
Hmm.
even if we're to do that, every team that he's been on has just been loaded with talent. Like there hasn't been a team that
Right.
didn't have at least two all-star caliber players.
Interesting. You're right. He started with OKC here. A rising star, Westbrook and Harden at the time. Yeah, even Brooklyn Nets. Of course, the Warriors, Steph Curry. I mean, you're right. He's been fortunate to have a lot of talent, but the key thing is, as far as their compatibility, it's been more like 50%. It's so and so. Not the best, but because of talent, he's able to succeed in many of those cases.
What can let's break down Kevin Durant. So he's a Libra son. What's his moon sign?
Interesting. Okay, so Kevin Durant, and I think you can kind of tell by the way his career has gone so far. So his moon sign is a Taurus. Now, the key thing to always consider or think about when you hear a Taurus is that they're very stable, consistent about whatever it is they do in life, whatever they're passionate about. It's just the way it is, right? They are very stubborn, but being a stubborn person is actually a good thing. Is because if you're stuck on one thing and someone tries to tell you, because there's some signs that I guess you may want to say if they without a backbone, right? It's some signs that kind of just give in, say, okay, I'll listen to you, or whatever it is, they change paths. But with the Taurus, if this Taurus has set their mind on something, maybe passionate for basketball or whatever it is, and another person comes in and tells them, "Hey, we need you to do this," in their mind, they're like, "No, I'm gonna do it my way because I've been good at it." And they be consistent, but they don't like change, and they don't like people telling them what to do as well. So with that stubborn nature of a Taurus being his on his moon sign helps a lot because it's being filtered through his Libra, right? Now Libra is a cardinal sign, a communication with air, right? So they're a natural leader of communication. So the thing with that combination is that they like to do things the smart way. They're ready to do things the smart way than the hard way, right? Like so they have a well balance of trying to do things more efficient and get to that path whichever way it is that's most efficient for them. And as you can see in a sense, when he chose the Warriors, for example,
Mm.
he thought of it more as like, "That's the best way for me to win a championship." Others looked at it different, like, "Oh, man, that's not fair, come
Right.
on, you can't do it by yourself." But in his mind, he has a goal, back to that stubborn nature. "I wanna win a championship. That's the best team for me to go to. I'm gonna go there," and he made it. It made it happen. Whatever. I mean, it's Kevin Durant, right? So whatever team that's willing to take him, I mean, they're gonna get him, right? Because he wants to play for that team. So that's the nature. He is a Libra with a Taurus moon, which is a good thing. A lot of NBA players that has a Taurus in their sun or moon makes very very good players because of the consistency, because of that. And that's the reason why he is where he is right now. I mean, you can tell his whole career, he's been fairly consistent, averaging the high 20s and even 30s earlier in his
30s,
career
yeah.
and so forth. So yeah,
And even it's funny you say that because you do see it in his game. Like it's like same form, same shot, same kind of like he's lost a bit of his speed, right? But his size helps
yes.
him out so much, and that mid range, right? He's still that mid range, and the way he's able to still just rise above people. I don't think he's the slasher that he used to be. Not a slasher, but he doesn't drive as much, right? He relies more on his shooting, which is still just spot on. But yeah, that's very interesting because you see it. I
And
really see it. And look.
And you know who's a comparison to him that also has a Taurus moon, and you kind of get a sense because they've compared him to this player quite a lot actually. Jason Tatum. Now, Jason
Interesting.
Tatum, he is a Pisces, but with a Taurus moon. So you kind of compare the difference between,
Mm,
both of them are Taurus moon, even though their sun signs are different, but they're both Taurus moon. And once you think of that, you can kind of get a sense of back again that consistency. You kind of get that the same with Jason Tatum. I mean, when he first came in the league, he was just a dead on shooter. His style's been the same. It's pretty much
right.
consistent. So that's kind of what I mean by that.
Hmm. Well, KD 10 all time, and look, I don't think he's going to stop at 10. I think he has a good chance of maybe
Warriors.
top 5. Maybe you think top 5?
Possibly, yeah. I think so. I mean, how old is he? He's only 35. I mean, a good 3 more years, maybe 3, 4, maybe
I
even
think
5 is
yeah,
stretching
three,
it,
three or four. It'll be interesting because we've seen what LeBron is doing right now. So what's to say that he
Okay.
doesn't, you know, go up because he
45.
has to
I'm just kidding.
45, right? 45. Yeah, he's got Julius Erving, Will Chamberlain, Dirk is up there, Michael obviously, yeah, it's gonna be he's still gonna be top 5 perhaps, but well, let's go from KD. We're gonna stay in the Western Conference too. I don't want to say they're a surprise because they're definitely not. They were surprised last year perhaps, and that's the Sacramento Kings. Um,
Ooh,
they're they're
yes.
they're they're continuing the success they had last season. They're currently 11-7, but they've got some good wins. Good wins against the Warriors, against some playoff teams that were there last year. So they're not a team that's going to slide back. They're a team that it looks like they learn what they did in the playoffs. They took those legs and they licked those wounds and they got better this offseason. And I know a lot of people were even thinking that the Kings should have moved Sabonis, and I don't know how that would have affected their astrological chemistry, because I don't think we've broken down the Sacramento Kings. So let's go ahead, break it down
Yeah.
for us.
So I usually like to start off with the coach. So Mike Brown, he's a Pisces, right? So the best possible player that's compatible to him is actually Sabonis. Okay, so that
Interesting.
meshes well with the coach. So when you have the coach and you could tell Sabonis is used a lot. He in the offense. I mean, he leads the team in assists. So with that compatibility, you get a connection there alone, right? Now, the next player that's compatible to those two is Kevin Herter. So he's a shooter, right? So that works well between those three. But in reality, with their best player, which is Aaron Fox, he is a Sagittarius, right? Now, take a step back. Who is Darren Fox's best friend in general that people talked about that joined the team from LA?
Oh,
Monk. Malik Monk,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Malik Monk, he is an Aquarius. Now, Aquarius and Sagittarius work very well together, and there
Mm.
you can just see. I mean, you hear this. Oh, Malik Monk and Fox are very close friends. You just hear from social media, and it's just a natural connection, right? That's a good thing because one of the biggest reasons why Malik Monk wanted to go with the Kings or even ended up being a King was because of Darren Fox. When you have that type of connection, it tends to lift up your energy to another level to make you want to be better, play better, and so forth. So that's one that helps Darren Fox because he is their best player. Two, who was the player they drafted last year? Keegan Murray. He is a
Mm.
Leo, right? One of the best dead-on shooters in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Leo mixing a Leo with a Sagittarius, fire, mutable fix. That's a strong connection right there. So you have another strong connection for Darren Fox. Another connection is Harrison Barnes, who is a Gemini. So you have a strong connection to help out for Darren Fox. And I think with that alone, and they play majority minutes, a lot of minutes within their rotation. And that helps a lot with the synergy when you connect everything because not every team's gonna have the perfect synergy where everyone's compatible. No. But the way Mike Brown is utilizing this rotation and him being a mutable sign, remember they're flexible, they like to adapt. He figured a rotation out that can work well, that could benefit certain players.
So is it
Sabonis,
more? Do they play like a 4-1 or like a 3-2, or is it
they
like?
start off with a 3-2. But who comes off the bench most? You got Monk, who's compatible to Fox. You have Duarte, who's a Gemini, who's compatible to Fox. And also they have Len, but I think he hasn't been playing much, but he's also a Gemini. So you have energies that's compatible to Fox that they do utilize throughout the game, a lot of 4-1 lineups. Not only that, if you look at it from the other side, who's compatible to Sabonis, you also have Davion Mitchell, who is a Virgo, very compatible to Kevin Herter, very compatible to Sabonis, who is a Taurus. Trey Lyles as well. So they have a well balanced team, but I think the key thing here is how the coach utilizes the rotation throughout the game. Best matchups, best defense, offense type. It's just the way that's a coach's job, right? So overall, for now, it's been working very well. Actually, since last year, they've been sort of a surprise team. It's worked out very well because he's utilized the right rotation to pull out a lot of wins.
And it's interesting you say Mike Brown is mutual sign, because I remember, I read a story that when he was a coach with the Golden State, Warriors, he learned the system and he changed his view of coaching because he was exposed to the Golden State Warriors. So he's mutual. He was open to it. He was open to it. And then now when he went with the Kings, he's like, he looked at Sabonis and was like, okay, I have something here that not many teams in the NBA have. Let me work with him and make him
And he
a hub
adapted.
of the offense because he's mutual.
Yep, yep. Perfect example. You're right. And out of all the qualities, you have cardinals, fixed, and mutable. Mutable is I like to think of the mutable as like the even, like they're the in between. They're the one that sort of gets along with every quality, right? So they're sort of like the middleman. So even though it is an opposite element, it still will work out well because they sort of fall in that in between range where they'll adapt to get along with you, even though you are an opposite element, meaning like one is fire and one is like water. A perfect example is if you look at the New York Knicks, who is their best player? You have Jalen Brunson, right? He is a Virgo, and then you have a second best player, Randall, who is another mutable sign of Sagittarius, and it works well, and they win games too. So having a mutable sign in the team works out well because it's sort of like the middleman as far as for having everything connected. They're more like the networkers.
Got it. The networkers, the Magic networkers. Speaking of Magic, that
There you
was
go.
a segue. It could be better, but so we are talking about the Orlando Magic, 14-6 this season. They
Wow.
are a surprise so far of this season. 14-6. Granted, they just lost one, but they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. Uh, it's we haven't talked about the Magic. To be honest, I didn't think they were going to cross I mean, obviously I was going to know how they're doing, but not like deep. But 14-6, I gotta say I'm surprised. Did you expect this out of the Orlando Magic, Zodiac?
Honestly, no, and the reason why is because when I analyzed that team, I had Wendell Carter starter. Now, these are always those blessing in disguise type of injuries, when a player goes down and then there's another player that steps up. Well, in this case, the player that steps up, which is Bitadze, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, Bitadze, who's the starting center now over Wendell Carter Jr. or who took his spot, he fits very very well with Bankero and Wagner, in which they connect what I like to call the trifecta energies, right? Where you have compatible elements, one, but also the trifecta of the qualities, meaning the cardinal, there's a Cancer, which is Bitadze. He's a Cancer cardinal. Bankero, he is a Scorpio fixed, and then you have the mutable sign of Franz Wagner, who is a Virgo. Whenever you have that type of alignment, that's a strong connection there. Not only that, they also have a strong connection on the other side where the air fire mix is, right? Because you have Jalen Suggs, who's starting, who is a Gemini mutable. The fixed sign is Anthony Black, who is Aquarius fixed. But the cardinal sign is one of their top bench players that comes in with them is Joe Ingles, who is the Libra cardinal. So they have two trifecta alignments that they utilize within their rotation, which is actually working out very well for them. So I think in the long run, it depends how with Wendell Carter Jr. coming back into the mix, we'll see how that meshes because Wendell Carter Jr. he is an Aries Cardinal. Now it doesn't mesh very well with Banchero and Wagner, but again, it all depends how the rotation is being used. So we'll see.
Like, would Wendell Carter match better coming off the bench with the other players? Like, would that be a better Zodiac, a better chemistry wise?
In a perfect world, if you don't want to look at how much money they're making and they're supposed to play a certain amount of minutes because of their contract, whatever, that would be perfect for this team. For Wendell Carter Jr. to come off the bench with Joe Ingles and play them together with Jalen Suggs or Anthony Black. If you look at it the other way, he can also start and then use that same rotation as well. But you also would like to help Banchero and Wagner get the best out of them as well, because that front court of Bitadze, Banchero, and also Wagner is pretty strong, and because they all connect very, very well.
Yeah, and I mean the record proves it. The wins they have proven, and it's like you said, it's who knows if they would have ever made that move to put him in the starting lineup, and play him those heavy minutes with Banchero and Franz Wagner. So it'll be interesting. How long is Wendell Carter out for? I missed when.
I know 3 days ago it says will not play something about his finger. So he's been out for quite some time.
Yeah.
But also I think Fultz is another player that's been out for quite some time as well, and he's a Gemini. So you have if he starts, you have a 2 Gemini backcourt, which is good. I mean, Suggs is a Gemini, and Markelle Fultz is also a Gemini. So when you have 2 Geminis together, that works out very well too. So, I guess it's sort of readjusting the rotation and all that, and kind of see how it plays out. But the good thing is Bitadze, he might not be that profile, high points, high rebound type of player, but he's a perfect energy for Banchero Wagner. And then they also have Cole Anthony, which is another player that's compatible because he's a Taurus, and then Mo Wagner, who's also a Taurus, Gary Harrison, who's a Virgo. So they have a strong list of players that are compatible to Banchero and Wagner as well off the bench. So yeah. That works.
Well, it's also he may not score a lot of points or do that, but he's doing a lot of other things that help the other players, right? So it's like, while you're not getting what you wanted from maybe you were expecting from Wendell Carter, what he's bringing you is more like on the plus minus, right? It's kind of like it's just flowing better, right?
And sometimes you just need that. Sometimes certain players prefer that. Maybe Banchero prefers Bitadze's energy or style over Wendell Carter, who's a little bit different. It's just naturally a lot of people, they like to look at numbers. Oh, he scores most. He scores a lot of points. He should start. He should play. But no, really, it's how you mesh with another player that brings the best out of you, that makes you play better. It's all about. That's what it's all about. The synergy of a whole team playing together. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, that was the last topic on our 7th episode of Hoopstrology. Thank you for coming back and listening to us. Zodiac, any last final words?
Follow us on Hoopstrology and the Zodiac GM at Twitter X.
And follow me.
By the way, we need to get a segment going with having about your sign, the Gemini.
The Gemini.
Very, very interesting. I think we should definitely find some time for that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll start breaking down each astrological sign here now. But yes, come back and you'll see what the next time we talk about is. See ya.